Perfect.
Excellent. Hello, JACINE Drummond.
Thank you, Raphael. Pleasure to actually sort of meet you virtually. So,
The pleasure is all mine. Now, if all you out there don't know who JACINE Drummond is, I invite you to look at her Facebook pages and see that she is the owner and founder of ROCO, ROCO, Manufacturing. She's a cosmetic chemist, and it's a skincare manufacturing. And she has been a real media hottie lately. I tell you, from my career in television, she's not your typical celebrity narcissist. JACINE comes from the heart, and she really cares about people. I know that she's helped my wife. I see her helping people out every day. This is her mission. But there's so many people, women, especially JACINE, because the men don't know they're living in fear. They think it's anger. But there's so many women out there that are experiencing fear. I'm hearing that so much all over the world. And a lot of them are afraid they can't get out of the situation and move forward and follow their dreams, follow their true why. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what happened to you? 5 spinal surgeries? Oh my gosh, opiates for pain. And then in a very short time, you become a tremendous worldwide success. What was your journey?
thanks, Raphael. Yeah, my journey's been a very, very long one. So I had my first spinal surgery in 2014, and I started with literally elbow pain, and I actually thought I had tennis elbow, and it wasn't until they did a scan that they realized, no, you've actually got a compressed nerve in your neck, and that was affecting my arm. So I didn't really think much of it at the time, because even though I was spiritual, I wasn't really aware of a lot of spiritual principles, is what I will say. And so as we progressed along, I ended up having another 3 spinal surgeries in 2017. So I had 3 in 1 year, which was 9 months of recovery. And then I had my final one last year, because my discs went on Mother's Day. But my neck originally, I did say for years that my ex-husband was a pain in the neck, and that is literally what I got. So one of the first things for people to realize is your words actually have power. And what you are saying to yourself constantly is what you will end up reaping. So I'm very, very conscious of the words that I actually use, and the words and my self-talk, and what I say to myself, because, what we repeat to ourselves is what we start to believe over a period of time. But yeah, with my health, it was interesting because after the first spinal surgery, it was a little bit of a botched surgery, and it was of no reflection on the surgeon at all. They gave me an antibiotic during surgery, and I had an anaphylactic reaction to it, and I ended up in ICU. So my blood pressure plummeted through the floor. And so they only got to do 1 disc really well, and the other 2 were extremely rushed because I was so unstable. And after that event, so you go into surgery thinking that you're going to be fixed when you come out, and instead all I did was remained in chronic pain for, the next, 8 years basically after it. So I think that, mindset's really important, and what you choose to focus on is really important. So after the surgery, I remember going to psychologists, and they said, how is it that you are still optimistic? How is it that you can have been through all of this, still have chronic pain, but remain hopeful and optimistic? And I just said to them, it's our focus. It's what we choose to focus on. And so I realized with chronic pain that the more I focused on it, the worse it actually got. The more emotional I became, the more upset I became, the worse my pain became. So I had to learn to choose my focus and what I was going to focus on. So instead of focusing on what I couldn't do, I focused on what I could do. And I also had to learn to readjust my expectations of myself. So I could no longer just, work all day and expect that to be normal for me. That's not what you can do. So I had to do little baby steps. And we're conditioned in society to have to do like massive things consistently all the time. It is actually the incremental things that you do that push you forward. Like you just have to look at a boat. If you just move the rudder slightly, it completely changes the direction. It doesn't have to be a massive turn. It just has to be an incremental one. And that is the same with us with regards to chasing our dreams, what have you. Everyone thinks, well, what does it matter? It's only a small thing. Like, so when I started walking again, my goal was just to walk an extra 100 meters a day. Like it mightn't sound like much, but incrementally over time, it compounds and it builds. And I think because it seems so simple, people dismiss it. One of my coaches actually said, for habits to form, if you can't do something for 10 minutes, just do it for a minute. Every day, just start to train yourself to do it for a minute. Because if you can do it for a minute, one becomes a habit, and two, over time, you will actually start to be able to do more of it. But because that doesn't seem like you've achieved anything, people don't do it at all, if that makes sense.
Now, yes, totally. You must have had a tremendous mindset with your focus. I mean, for example, 2 years ago, even though I'm in my early 60s, I still do a little rock climbing, and I literally fell. And when I rolled into the ER on a gurney, and the doctor was yelling, "You're in pain, you need morphine." I said, "No, you're not putting a needle in me. I can heal myself." That's what I've been working with the South Koreans for years to learn. I just want the x-rays. So the mindset, your focus is everything. And it has been my experience. One of the number one things as a former health and wellness coach to get my clients to do is to stop focusing on the problem. So thank you for that. So, and where did you go from there? And
so
8 years of pain, that was.
Yeah, it was very much a gradual thing, but I also too I had to over time separate my identity, because your identity and who you think you are is really crucial. And I literally became my pain at one point, and it was a part of me. And I had to separate myself and go, do I really want to keep beating that drum? And I've mentioned this before to other people, people wear their ailments like a badge of honor. And do you really want to wear your ailments as a badge of honor? You're not your cancer, your chronic pain, or whatever other condition that you've got. Your body just isn't in harmony at the moment. Doesn't mean necessarily also that it can't get back in harmony. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I couldn't even pick up a washing basket. I couldn't even sit on the floor. And yet within a very short period of doing some work on myself emotionally, I was able to do a lot of things. So I feel like for many people, they wear the badge of honor of this is my condition, because it does give them that connection with humans. And so because it gives them that connection with humans, they haven't actually learned how to get that connection any other way. And so they continue to talk about their condition because it's a way of them connecting. So really, it's just they haven't been taught how to do things in a way that's healthy for them, because that's just reinforcing in their mind that they have a condition that they've been told by the medical profession that they have.
They have hung these labels.
Yeah.
In our society nowadays, we love to hang labels on somebody. Who are you? What do you do? What do you have? Oh no, Raphael, I hear all the time, I had no choice. The doctor told me label. So not accepting that label. That's not what we want. It sounds like victim mode, right?
It is. And unfortunately, everyone throughout our life has been in a victim mode, like all of us have. That's how we grow. But the challenge is when you're in that mode, you give away your power. When you're a victim, you don't believe that you've got the power to change anything. So you become powerless, where all of the power is within ourselves. And even when we feel like we don't have a choice, we can have a choice with what we think and how we respond. And you may not be able to change what's happening around you, but you can certainly change your response to it or your perception of it, because it really is just how we are viewing the world, basically. I mean, one person's, you could have a story, like, for example, recently I had quite a few staff leave. Now, some people would go, oh, that's terrible. But to me, it was actually a blessing. And I don't say that to be nasty or horrible. It's just, it was great for me to see how, one, much my resilience had even become stronger again, but also two, it made me realize what a great team that I did have. Not that I took them for granted, I didn't, but it made me realize we became stronger, we bonded. So a negative situation is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I've had a child die. Now, that's devastating, but can I tell you, if he hadn't of, I wouldn't be on the trajectory I am in now. I would still be nursing. I wouldn't have done what I've done now. And I've been able to make far more impact and, you know, make people's lives better by doing what I'm doing now than I ever would have as a nurse. So things aren't either good or bad, they just are. We attach our emotions to things, basically, and give them a label of them being good or they're being bad. And I often find that every piece of adversity I've ever gone through has been a turning point in my life, and it's allowed me to learn those lessons and take that with me to the next level that I'm about to play at on this journey. Yeah.
Yes, certainly we've all experienced that. I mean, just like this morning, trying to do 2 lives and it didn't work out. I can say, whoa, I'll never do Facebook again. Or I can say, next time, this will be a lesson for you to test, Raphael, you know, or get a virtual assistant like all my friends have told me. Now that we talked about changing your focus, let's talk about your entrepreneurial side. I noticed you have a really fantastic, what Peter Sage might call relations business. And I think a lot of people in their lives, I know I have, on a daily basis, miss opportunities that are right in front of them by not taking advantage of relationships in business.
I think opportunities are surrounding us all the time. So I believe in abundance. And I also believe, that there's more than enough for everyone. Like, yes, there are other businesses out there that are similar to mine, but they're not my business because we have our unique, point position in the market. But at the end of the day, there's room for everyone. I think with possibilities and, opportunities that exist, often we don't see them because they're not in our focus or we're not aware of them. So one of the things that has been crucial for my success has been vision boards. And so literally, I learned this from John Assaraf. He was literally the one that made me become an entrepreneur, because when I watched him in The Secret, I went, wow, I actually have the capability of being more than what I am. And so I grew up with no money. Like, my father was a priest, my mother became a priest. And, each of us as children had a slightly different perception, but I quite distinctly remember shopping at St. Vincent de Paul because I grew so rapidly in a year and we only had $100 for clothing. Now, I don't begrudge my parents that. They did the best job that they could for us as our kids. But I remember growing up thinking, I don't ever want to be broke, because when you're broke, you don't have choices. And that means you also don't have the capability of helping other people as well, because all you can do really is give your time, and that's valuable. But often what's actually needed is actually money to be able to help people to get out of a situation that they're in. So for me, when you actually do a vision board and you're re-imprinting your brain by watching it daily, you're telling your subconscious that this is important to you. Now, I'll give you an example that's about to happen. A couple of years ago, I had on my vision board that we were a $50 million business. Now, we're not currently, but we will be by next year. And so at the time I wrote that, it was so preposterous to me, but it was such a big, audacious goal. And I have spent every single day imagining what that looks like for me. Like, what does this mean for me? What am I going to achieve with it? Who am I going to help? And what does this lifestyle look like when I'm achieving this amount of revenue? And so I've done that repeatedly. And what ends up happening when you start to do that is opportunities start to come to you because you've put it out into the universe. And so it actually responds to that signal and that vibration, because literally it is just a vibration, and it attracts opportunities to you. And because you're focused on it, you notice it. It's no different to, I remember when I wanted to get pregnant with my daughter. She was a fertility drug baby. I wanted to get pregnant so much, all I saw was pregnant women. Everywhere I looked, I just saw pregnant women because I was focused on it.
Kind of
But I could drive, I could drive past a store and I have no clue it's there because I don't need what's in that store, and it's not in my peripheral. I don't actually see it. And because our brain gets so many pieces of information on a daily basis, it has to filter out what's important to us. And without you setting your GPS of what's important to you, so every morning by setting my intentions and focusing on what I want to achieve, it actually primes my brain to go look for opportunities. This is important to her. And so it comes into your awareness. And that's been crucial for growing a business and growing my brand, because without having that focus, I'm aimlessly going. My brain doesn't know what to focus on. My subconscious doesn't know what to look for. And that's part of The Secret, basically. Ironically, the movie was called The Secret. But that is part of the secret of success, because when you actually do that, miracles start to happen. I have always found it incredulous, even after years of doing this. Every time it happens, it still blows my mind. I'm like, wow, that just happened again. And sometimes we just need a bit of a gentle reminder to do things, like to write things down of what you want and to focus on it.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's interesting. I've worked with a few people in The Secret. Like I worked in Life Particle TV with Neil Donald Walsh, with Ochi Lee's group. And I just want to warn everybody, or just actually point out to everybody, be careful. Manifestation is incredible. I literally, a few years back, I was driving with a friend from Sedona to Flagstaff, and I was yelling about something I couldn't buy at a store because you can't buy it. You have to buy the whole unit. And I was saying, angels, angels, please, could you please just get, and you know what? It appeared in front of the roadway, in front of my car, exactly as I was seeing it. And my friend, who was an ex-agent, said, my God, Raphael, you can manifest anything. And I said, we all can. So I want to point out that here we are back at focus again, because we can focus, I mean, on what we don't want. It's like Peter Sage just posted something about, if you don't stop rereading the last chapter of your life, you can't get to the next chapter. I have to tell myself that every day, because I had such a rough early life. When I was sentenced to prison for defending myself, and luckily a few years later, the appellate court and the governor of Washington demanded my immediate release. And because of the work I was doing, I was given a scholarship to a private university. And we are here to tell everybody you can overcome anything. It's all about your focus. Because I remember being in that dark cell after being sentenced to 16 years. I remember standing there looking up, and I could hear the planets roll. And I said to myself, I will not do one day in prison. I will make the most of this, and I will go forward with anything I can. Whatever has to happen, I will be there, and I will do what I can. And that's what we did, right? And miracles happened. I got a scholarship at a private university. I got a job being a really rotten broadcaster. Talk too much and can't stay on track. But I get to meet wonderful people like you. And and our friends, and that's important, right? Environment, who we surround ourselves with, that we don't let them drag us down, hang labels on us, and they have a great focus. And I noticed you have so many beautiful friends, JC.
Thank you. Yeah, environment's really important. And like as Peter says, you'll never be able to outdo your environment. Like that will always trump in the end. And for me, it's really important to be surrounded by positive people, people who are looking for solutions rather than telling me why it can't be done. So yeah, that's really crucial. And I found over the years like that friendships have sort of changed, and that's not a bad thing. I just certain people I just may not see as much, and it's not like it's deliberate on my part. It never just lines up for us to be able to see them for whatever reason. And that's a natural part of attrition and growth, because you'll only attract people to you that are sitting around the same vibration as you. If they are sitting at a different vibration, you won't attract them, because there'll be that dissonance. So it won't be connected. So it's actually funny you say, because literally yesterday my phone went flat, and I literally the following day I said to my husband, I said, I need a charger for my phone, like a battery pack. And what comes in the mail from one of my coaches is a battery pack. And I just went, you're kidding me. I literally just asked for it the day before, and it arrives in the mail. And I had no clue this was coming, like no clue. And the following day, it arrives in the mail for me. I'm like, to me, that's miraculous. So, but yeah, it's definitely what you focus on, and learning to let go of what you can't control, because like I know over the last couple of years with the pandemic, it's been incredibly challenging with business. Like even now, like we've still got freight delays, and we're waiting on packaging to arrive that should have been here weeks and weeks ago. But for me, there's no point in me jumping up and down at my supplier and going, well, where is it? I mean, he can't control what the boating companies do. Like, yes, it's disappointing it's not here, but learning to control your emotions is really crucial, because if you don't, you're constantly riding this roller coaster, and you're out of control. You're not in control. And so that's one of the really good things that I've loved about my entrepreneurial journey, is I've actually learned to become, as I call, unflappable. Basically, there's not really much that throws me anymore, because at the end of the day, I mean, I've had just about everything that I could possibly think that has happened to me during my life, and I've managed to survive it. So I know that I whatever happens to me, I will just get myself back up, and I will start again. And if things are external and I can't control them, there's no point in stressing about them, because you can't change them at the end of the day. Like you just can't. One of the other crucial things as well for success, which I know Raphael, is faith. I've always found this interesting. Like I said, my both my parents were priests. And so a lot of people would go to church, and they would, profess to have faith, but then they'd spend the rest of the week worrying about what was going to happen. And I'm like, that is the complete absence of faith. And so that is a hard task to master. So when you look in your bank account and you go, I don't know how I'm going to pay my staff, to have the faith and focus that everything's going to turn around, that's not easy. It requires practice, but faith is like anything, it's a muscle. And the more you use it and the more you practice it, the better you become at it. And the better you become at refocusing your thoughts as well. So a lot of people lack the faith to do things, and it's the fear that holds them back. So they're more focused. Again, it's focused. They are more focused. Fear is just focusing on what could go wrong, rather than focusing on where you want to go and what could go right. That's all fear.
And trusting in the process. Trusting the process.
Yeah. So It's a hard thing for people to master when they first start. I mean, I've learned as I've gone on my entrepreneurial journey, fear always surfaces at some point. But I feel the emotion and I let it go and I recognize it for what it is. Fear to me is me just about to take another big step. So now when I feel fear, I go, you're about to do another big leap. Whereas if I don't feel fear at all, I'm in my comfort zone. And I know I'm not playing out to the best of my capacity. I'm playing safe rather than actually stepping outside of my comfort zone, taking that little bit of a risk and trusting myself, because that's literally what it is. It is you trusting yourself and your own capabilities. So when you don't go to that next level, you're basically saying to yourself, I don't trust myself. And I had one person say to me once, with regards to trusting other people, I said, you don't have to trust other people. You just have to trust yourself. Your own abilities, your ability to decipher whether or not you should do business with someone. It doesn't matter whether you trust other people. You just have to trust yourself, because over time, what you'll do is your intuition, your guidance system will kick in and you will just know. You will know whether it feels right or it doesn't feel right. And that system is never wrong. Like, it's always giving an accurate message.
To trust that you will do what you can when you need to is key. And, you reached on emotions there. And I just want to remind again, everybody, that two of the best emotions that anybody could have, I don't care if you're sitting in a lawn chair with a little cardboard sign in front of Walmart, but is to have gratitude. You can find gratitude. I am so grateful for what I have in my life. It's amazing. I have the most wonderful support team, my beautiful wife, that thank you for helping her. And our ranch that just kind of appeared. A friend said, hey, would you like to buy our ranch? We're going east. And I said, well, I really don't have any money. My assistant just died and I spent years taking care of her. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. You can make payments. I'm like, okay. I'm so grateful. And I am so grateful that I have taken advantage of opportunities that I have. But gratitude, sincere gratitude for everything that we have, and including things that we don't have, like disabilities that we may not have. I have friends who don't have legs. I have friends who don't have both arms. And so I have friends who aren't all there. And I love to help people, just like I know you do, Jacine. And so having gratitude that we can be in a position to help. And you are such an example for everyone right now. Thank you. And where do you plan to go with your future as an NLP coach? I mean, I took an NLP coach, but I never really did much with it. And you're a hypnotist, master hypnotist now. What are your future plans, and where do you see the world going in this great awakening?
Well, I've got an operations manager starting on Monday, so that's very exciting for me. So that will allow me to take some time off where I can actually focus a little bit more on marketing. I've been getting pulled to coaching for a long, long time, and I think the reason why is because I love seeing people reach their potential. All of us have so much potential inside of us. It's just that our lifestyle or our environment when we grew up, we don't necessarily have that belief that we are capable of whatever we is. But it's not true. It's just a program that we have been running in our brain to say this is all we're capable of. And it's got no basis of truth or reality. It's just something we've thought for a long time, and that can be changed. So for me, I'm feeling drawn more into coaching and inspiring people and uplifting people, because to me, there's such value in seeing people get to the next level, especially with coaching and business coaching in particular, to help them to get where they need to go, because mindset is a massive part of it. But it's also not the only part. So mindset's very crucial. because without the mindset, even if you give them the actions, they don't take them. But they still need the right actions to take as well, because it's a case of you don't know what you don't know. And I know when I first started in business, I didn't realize what I was doing wrong. And it wasn't until I actually got a mentor that I realized, wow, you're not even charging enough, JACINE. That's why you're not making any money. And at the time, I wasn't even breaking even. And I thought, wow. And I'd been plugging away at this business for years. And the only reason I kept going was because I didn't start my business to make money. I started my business to help people. And so my motivation was completely different. There's a lot of businesses out there that are literally started as a money-making venture. And, that's okay, but it doesn't float my boat. Like, to me, there has to be more to it than just making money. To me, there has to be a purpose to the business. What is the long-term goal of it? What is the vision of it? What are they trying to achieve? And if I don't have that emotional connection with it, I couldn't push myself to do it, because money's not my motivator. It's actually helping people. So it can become challenging. I know that my kids at one point have looked at going into business, and I've always asked them, why are you going into business? And I said, if you're telling me money, I said, don't bother. Because I said, it's so competitive anyway in business. It's not easy in business. A lot of businesses fail. Like in Australia, I think it's nearly 80% of them fail in the first 5 years. And of the ones that make it past 10 years, it's even less again that actually become successful. I think the average business in Australia never hits $1 million. So it is a learning lesson along the way with business growth. Each time you have to go to the next level, you have to upgrade your mindset. And that's probably why I focus so much on mindset and growth, because I know if I want to have the impact I want on the world, it will not happen without me up-leveling my own mindset, because it all starts at the top. And if the person running the company doesn't have the vision, you're never going to get there. So, yeah.
As a former business analyst, and also, when I was making commercials, I'd see OB stamped on a business on my desk. OB means out of business. I mean, 4 out of 5 businesses traditionally do go out of business. I don't think people know that. And we can apply that to our own life. It's okay if you've gone out of business. It's okay to go out of business. It's always good to go back and check the why. You're referencing one of the greatest human needs, right? Is contribution.
Yep.
And I tell people that reminds me of growing up a skinny little white boy in South Sackville when my Italian mother and my French father's family brought me down there. And I always found the strength in defending my sisters. If we were walking home from school and we got ambushed or attacked or whatever, it's so much easier to fight for other people. Yeah. I know it's kind of a strange, example, but it's a good one, because service to others, you will always find more strength. I love it. Thank you, JACINE.
My pleasure.
And thank you so much for the time that you spent. I know you got a very busy lifestyle, and I've liked that you brought up vision board and you brought up faith and trust. And it reminds me of the whole psychological process of, we can't always change circumstances. We can always change how we think about them. And that changes how we feel, which changes the actions we take, which dictates our results. So thank you. I know everybody's going to enjoy this so much, JACINE, and let us know how we can support you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Raphael. I'll give you my website link if you would like to post that after with the video. But my pleasure.
Yes. From Rococo, ROCOCCO Botanicals for skincare, that website.
It's Rococo, so it's ROCCOCO.com.
Thank you. Rococo. Excellent. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye now.